Bienvenidos. Hoy en Adelante estamos iniciando la temporada número 15. Sí, estos son 15 años de llegar hasta sus hogares, por lo que queremos expresarle nuestro profundo agradecimiento por su preferencia y por su apoyo. Con ello, invitarlos para que se quede hoy con nosotros en este programa inicial en el que veremos cómo es que para la abogada en inmigración María Ryan, el ayudar a sus clientes es un asunto personal. También un reportaje sobre la familia de jaguares iniciada por Pat the Cat, un felino que llegó de Belice y sobre el cual presentamos su historia anteriormente. Y miembros de Global Partners Running Waters, una organización que ayuda a traer agua y otros recursos a las comunidades de Guatemala y otros países de Latinoamérica. La abogada María Ryan tiene un interés personal en ayudar a sus clientes. Ella vivió de cerca el proceso de naturalización de su esposo, quien es originario de Latinoamérica. Veamos esta historia de Salvador Gómez.
¿Y cuánto tiempo dura eso?
Esto dura algún tiempo.
¿Unos 2
un
días?
mes. No,
¿Sí?
el de allá, el grande, sí.
Bueno, siempre me ha encantado aprender nuevos idiomas, aprender de nuevas culturas. En mi niñez no fue una casa bilingüe, lastimosamente, pero siempre me encantaba escuchar otros idiomas en la televisión, en la radio, en la comunidad, o sea, siempre me interesaba. Y luego empecé a estudiar español como en el 7º grado, se me hace, y me encantó. De hecho, cuando estaba en la secundaria, tuve la gran oportunidad de viajar a Guatemala. Hicimos un proyecto como de construir una escuela, como un proyecto comunitario. Y ahí me enamoré de la cultura latinoamericana. Y luego, cuando me gradué de la secundaria, decidí, ir a la universidad. Y luego de estudiar unos años, decidí que realmente quiero saber más acerca de español y la cultura latinoamericana. Así que me especialicé en literatura de español y tuve la oportunidad de viajar a Ecuador por un año y estudiar allá. Bueno, de hecho, conocí a mi esposo en Ecuador y también otra vez me encantó la cultura, me encantó el idioma y dije, realmente quiero, involucrar mi vida con la gente de Latinoamérica. Después de graduar de la universidad, decidí qué quiero hacer. Entonces, decidí que realmente quiero ser abogada. Cuando estaba en la escuela de leyes, de hecho, hice como escribí un artículo y dije, ¿de qué quiero escribir? Y fue de inmigración, la ley de inmigración. Entonces, ahí sabía que sí, tal vez esto va a ser carrera para mí, porque me interesó mucho. Y de hecho, pasamos por todo el proceso de inmigración con mi esposo. Ayudé a emigrar a mi suegra, gracias a Dios está aquí conmigo. Ayudé a emigrar también a mi cuñadita, que eso fue realmente un caso difícil, pero gracias a Dios lo logré con otra abogada, porque en ese momento no era abogada todavía. Y después de graduarme de la escuela de leyes, empecé a trabajar con otra abogada de inmigración. Y me encantó, me fascinó la ley de inmigración. Me gustó lo difícil que era y para poder trabajar y aprender tanto sobre la ley de inmigración y poder formular como una resolución en un caso de alguien que realmente podría cambiar la vida de esa persona. Antes, como dije, trabajaba por otra abogada y después de algún tiempo ya decidí, quiero empezar mi propio, oficina de leyes. ¿Por qué? Porque tengo, mucho más poder, puedo tomar las decisiones o más control sobre los casos. Puedo tomar un caso gratis si es que realmente quiero ayudar a esta persona y no tienen los fondos y es un caso muy importante que se debe ganar. Por ejemplo, también tengo el poder de bajar mis precios en cierto caso si es que me parece que sería bueno para ese cliente, que si no se bajan los precios, ellos realmente no van a tener un abogado quien pueda ganar. Porque de hecho muchas veces de las organizaciones comunitarias lastimosamente son muy buenas como caridades católicas, pero no siempre tienen los fondos económicos ni el tiempo para dedicarse a todos los casos que hay, la gran necesidad que hay en la comunidad. Y por medio de ELA se puede aplicar para el caso de pro bono y se hace eso por medio de caridades católicas O sea, hay que hacer consulta primera inicial en caridades católicas y ellos deciden si tienen un buen caso, si tienen bajos ingresos y le vamos a dar un abogado que es miembro de ella y que sabemos que sabe realmente lo que hace. En mi oficina trabajo en la ley de familia, inmigración de familia, o sea, de ayudar a otros familiares a venir a este país o si es que ya están aquí, de arreglar su residencia aquí en los Estados Unidos. También tengo la oportunidad y el gran privilegio de ayudar a las víctimas de violencia doméstica, de ayudar a las víctimas de ciertos delitos severos por medio del proceso de la visa U. También hago la defensa de deportación para que las familias no se separen en cuanto se pueda. Es muy importante darse cuenta que para todas las personas quienes benefician del programa de acción diferida vienen de una familia mezclada, donde algunas personas sí tienen su estatus arreglado y donde otras personas, otros miembros en su familia no tienen su estatus arreglado. El hecho de que tienen hijos dreamers, soñadores que calificaron para la acción diferida, en este momento no parece que les va a ayudar directamente. La reforma, si no sé si saben, es como un registro, es algo parecido a la acción diferida, pero el registro, la reforma, es el vehículo de lo cual va a ayudar a los papás, a los tíos, tal vez a los primos, a los familiares de las personas quienes obtuvieron acción diferida. Algo más que afecta a los que tienen acción diferida es que la reforma a lo mejor va a tener una parte, una sección especial para los dreamers, para los soñadores, lo cual va a decir que ellos pueden obtener su residencia muchísimo más rápido. Por ejemplo, ellos pueden lograr la residencia en 5 años en vez de los 10 años que van a tener que esperar las personas quienes tienen el registro, la parte del registro de la reforma. Mi consejo sería de que si uno está viviendo en la sombra, realmente debe tener esa consulta con un abogado. Debe hacer el esfuerzo de hacer la llamada, hacer la cita con alguien que es de confianza. Voces de la Frontera siempre tiene abogados que conocen, que investigan y saben que hacen un buen trabajo y no tratan de aprovechar a la gente. Llamen a hacer la consulta, averiguar cuáles son sus opciones. Solamente viendo a un abogado, o sea, no es un riesgo, pero por lo menos le va a plantar la semilla para empezar a creer que realmente tal vez puede cambiar mi futuro, puedo legalizar mi estatus. Muchas veces se encuentra en mi trabajo mucha desconfianza porque ha habido mucho fraude, o sea, han vivido tantos años tratando de no llamar la atención a las autoridades y yo entiendo eso. Pero si los programas están ahí por alguna razón y están ahí para ayudar a los inmigrantes, porque no solamente es ayudar a los inmigrantes, es ayudar a nuestra sociedad. Si es pro bono, si es un caso normal, es igual para mí. Quiero ganar, quiero ser alguien con quien la persona se siente bien, que se siente que puede confiar en mí. Trato a igual los casos. Me siento bien que realmente tengo la oportunidad en mi carrera, que muchos no tienen, de realmente ayudar a alguien que no tiene nada y cambiar su vida. O sea, es algo increíble. A veces mi trabajo es muy estresante, no lo voy a negar. O sea, me falta tiempo a veces con mis hijos, con mi familia, pero cada día me levanto y doy gracias a Dios que me dio esta oportunidad, esta gran oportunidad de trabajar con las personas en la comunidad que realmente necesitan la ayuda de los inmigrantes.
Go pretty there when you lift them up.
Bueno, pues en primer lugar, a mí el trabajo que ella hace es excelente como persona y como abogada, como madre. Hace un trabajo abnegado, muy dedicado. Yo pues me siento muy orgulloso de tener una esposa tan trabajadora, tan abnegada y tan entregada a la gente, a la que ayuda, tanto igual como se entrega y se dedica a su familia. Por ejemplo, con mi madre también hicimos los trámites y es difícil porque tengo una conexión fuerte con mi mami, entonces ella también nos ayudó con eso. Y es excelente saber que tengo una esposa que ayuda a la comunidad, que trata de mantener las familias unidas, porque es lo más importante de una sociedad.
Sí, mi esposo y yo, gracias a Dios, tenemos un matrimonio muy unido. Tenemos los 2 hijos y somos una familia muy unida, y no puedo imaginar mi vida sin uno de mis hijos, sin mi esposo. Si es que el gobierno llegara a quitar a uno de mis familiares, sería lo más injusto que puedo imaginar que me pasaría en mi vida. Y eso también me da mucho esfuerzo de poder trabajar para ayudar, unir a las familias, que es tan importante en la comunidad.
Hace algunas temporadas, en Adelante, presentamos la historia del jaguar llamado Pat the Cat, quien llegó de Belice. Ahora el felino es el padre orgulloso de 2 cachorros, los cuales nacieron después de que Pat conoció a Stella. Veamos a estos maravillosos miembros del zoológico del condado de Milwaukee.
Jaguars actually range from the southern U.S. There's a couple jaguars that are coming into New Mexico and Arizona, and they go all the way down into South America, Argentina, Brazil, so their range is pretty wide. They actually have a huge range in weight too. The northernmost jaguars only weigh somewhere between 80 to 110 pounds, where the southernmost jaguars are weighing up to 250 pounds. Our 2 new additions are our 2 jaguar cubs. Zian and Balam are their names. They were born November 13th of 2012. Their parents are Pat and Stella. Stella was born at Fort Worth Zoo in 2003, and Pat is a wild-caught jaguar that was rehabilitated after being a problem jaguar in Belize. Pat and Stella are actually very small jaguars. Stella's 75 pounds, Pat's only 110 pounds, but we do know of some jaguars that are 250 pounds. So there's a big range there. Jaguars are endangered in the wild. Habitat loss is a huge problem for them. Hunting is a big problem for them also. Pat actually was found in 2003 in a camp of sorts. He was caught by some ranchers because he was killing cattle, and so he was a problem for them, but they didn't want to euthanize him, so the Belize Zoo stepped in, took him, spent a lot of time getting him used to being in captivity and taking care of some of his medical issues. And then in 2008 he came up to Milwaukee Zoo. It took a little bit for him to get used to our situation and our setup, but then we started introducing him to Stella. Jaguars are very strong, they're very powerful, so it is kind of scary to just kind of give up that control and let them be together and kind of let them learn from each other. You never know what's going to happen. And so we built up their relationship slowly and step by step, where we eventually got to the point where they were able to be together all day long outside. And it took a few years for them to bond, but we did get them together pretty much full-time last March, and we got babies in November. All right, so what we're doing today is we're going to give their morning food to them, and we try to do training sessions with them for their morning food. So we want them to interact positively with us and get an idea of how, get an idea of the relationship with the humans and kind of how we use training to have them participate in their husbandry behaviors. So we'll eventually do like blood draws and injections and stuff with them, but these are the basics that we start them out with. So we'll ask them to target. Good. Oh my, somebody is hungry this morning. Up. Good. So we have them in an up position like that. We can get a good look at their belly. We can take a look and see if there's any injuries on their pads, take a look at their nails, trim their nails if necessary, all sorts of fun stuff. And when we start like this, when they're this young, then they're gonna get used to having somebody up here touching them, so it's not scary when they're older and say they have an ingrown nail or something like that. So we give them rats and mice and chicks and rabbits for treats. It's good to have some whole foods in there. It gets all of the nutrients and vitamins from things like liver and kidney and spleen. But otherwise their base diet is a beef-based diet. So jaguars are extremely smart. They have to use their problem-solving skills a lot in the wild to find prey and to stay safe. So we do a lot of training with them and try to get them to use those skills that they have. Just like the cubs, we do some basic behaviors. We want to see her belly up. So this one came in really handy when she was pregnant because we were able to get a good look at her belly to see the growth and detect pregnancy, because it's not always easy to detect pregnancy in cats. We train behavior in what's called a shaping plan or successful approximation. So we do it step by step. So we start with the smallest increments and then we reinforce those. So we want to start with something really small, like just barely an open, good. And then eventually what we'll do is we'll shape that into a bigger behavior and she won't get the reward until she takes it the next step. So it's very similar to dog training. Open, open, good. You know, it's been a long process to get the cubs, to a lot to work through, a lot of behavioral changes and a lot of kind of work for us to take a little bit of risk here and there and to really evaluate when it's good and not. And so it's kind of all come to a good head of this big success of getting these animals. It's not that easy to get jaguars to breed, actually. They are what's called an induced ovulator. They have to breed at least 100 times usually for them to get pregnant. So to be able to get them together and actually have them reproduce in a captive setting is kind of rare. In the wild, they would actually court, a jaguar male would court a female for 2 to 3 weeks before she comes into Keat. So they spend a lot more time together. So it's really fun that we can do it here. We don't put Pat in with the cubs right now. It's not that natural in the wild, so we don't want to risk it, but we do give him time at a mesh door so they can actually come, it's small mesh, but they can get in contact with each other a little bit, just not full physical contact. And the boys seem to idolize Pat. They stare at him like he's the best thing in the world. We still keep in very close contact with Belize Zoo, make sure that they know what's going on with him. There is a literacy project with a Pat the Cat book that is being used in Belize and also in the United States, so that's a big project that kind of talks about his story and about how he's a representative for the jaguars in Belize. And then also we have webcams that are set up, so when the cubs, before they were on exhibit, they were in back holding, so we couldn't see them, but we wanted to give people the opportunity to see them grow up. So there were webcams that actually the people in Belize do watch, so they're able to see them, and actually anybody can watch them on our webcams. Also the people of Belize had a naming contest, so they named one of our cubs, and they named him Zian, which is the end of the word Belizean, and it represents kind of their culture as a whole and their community as a whole. The other one's name is Balam, and that is a Mayan god. Well, right now the cubs they're 7 months old, so are very active, very entertaining, a lot of fun to see. It's a lot of fun to see them outside in the pool playing around or inside taking a nap with mom. So I would invite everybody to come out and take a look at our new cubs.
Global Partners Running Waters es una organización sin fines de lucro creada para construir relaciones de colaboración para llevar recursos como agua, alimentos y salud a Latinoamérica. Sister Jan y Bill Fenger nos hablan sobre la forma en que esta organización trabaja. Sister Jan, Bill, thank you so much for being with us again on Adelante.
Oh, you're welcome.
Sister Jen, tell us about this young boy that brought some ideas, or probably the initial point for Global Partners.
That is a wonderful story. It began with a deacon from his church in Prairieville, Louisiana, who came with us on a trip to El Salvador. And he got so touched by the reality of what he saw there that he went back to his youth group, a very small youth group of about 25 students. They worked over a year and a half doing car washes and all kinds of activities, dances, to raise money for Global Partners. That small group of youth raised over $10,000 to help Global Partners with a water project. And in that youth group, there were a brother and sister, but they had another brother. His name was Teddy, 8 years old. And he got mad because he couldn't participate with the youth group. And so he went to his parents and said, "Would you go to the principal of the school and see if there's something that we could do for water?" And his parents ignored him. He's so young, he's going to forget about it. But he didn't. He kept bugging them until finally his dad went to the principal of the school, and the principal said, "Of course you can do a water project." And what they ended up doing was putting a big cloud on the wall of the school, and little Teddy sold raindrops for $1. And he raised over $1,100 last year. This year he has 2 more schools, 3 churches, 5 Knights of Columbus, and 1 grocery store helping him out.
Goodness.
And his goal is to raise $5,000 this year. He has the students in South Milwaukee selling raindrops, a school in Chattanooga, Tennessee, 1 in Mankato, Minnesota. And so his project is spreading out
It's just growing.
because the children want the children of Guatemala not to suffer so much and have water. So many children can't go to school because they have to hunt for water.
That's just unbelievable. Bill, can you tell us about the statistics in Global Partners? How is it going? How the trips of the people visiting there are so important for the organization?
Well, the trips, the whole function of the trips is to introduce you to the people, developing relationships, not necessarily to a country per se. I think it's really going good. Sister Jan's been doing this for many, many years. She had mentioned the GATE program. And I've been involved with Divine Mercy. We have what's called a sister parish down in Chinique, Guatemala. We'll be making our 4th trip down there this coming March. That is open to the public, and it's an adult trip. It'll take 12 days, and you'll actually end up staying with people in Chinique for a period of time. But it really introduces you to the people. You know, some people, I always kind of joke about, you know, we're going to take you to one of the world's largest city dumps in the city of Guatemala. And why go to a dump? Well, at one time, people could actually live in the dump. So you would live there and you would die there. Now the municipality will not allow you to live there, but you still earn your living there. So your whole life is spent at a city dump. And basically what they do, they recycle the trash that other people throw away. And this is how they make a living.
That's just difficult to believe. Sister Jan, you talk about 36 years of war in Guatemala and how this visiting, meeting with people can be a healer. Can you talk about that?
I'd be happy to, because so many times people say, what are we going to do if we go on that trip? You know, they want to paint a school or build a school. And I say what we do is deep listening, especially with the adults. With the students, we sometimes do other projects. But with the adults, we do deep listening. And sometimes that's harder for people because you're looking face to face and you're hearing the stories of people who went through a civil war. And for many of them, it's very healing that people from the United States or Canada would take time, and they say, you could go any place in the world, but you chose to come to our little aldea and listen to us. It just helps build their dignity.
That's just,
and it helps build the relationships.
Bill, what is the most important experience that you have had by being part of Global Partners?
Overall experience? Well, I enjoyed the travel part of it, and would have been last year, we went to a community of Chinantan, where Global Partners had sponsored a water project, and we were there for the dedication. And people think, you know, what, it's no big deal, but it is a big deal. What we did was bring in a gravity-fed system, probably running almost 5 kilometers of pipe into a citron located in the village, and then from there we fed water to 273 families, about 1,200 people. The realities of it are is that if that water line was not brought in, generally the women and the kids every morning would walk 3-4 hours each direction to come back with a couple of gallons of water that they would use. So this is really nice. And what's so nice about it, the whole village comes out to meet you. And then it's a cultural experience. At the same time, it's building little relationships that we would never be exposed to if it wasn't for this opportunity with global partners.
You mentioned some statistics about kids and their health because the lack of water, of good water.
Well, worldwide, statistics are that every 21 seconds, a child under 5 dies due to not having access to clean water. I do know that one of the leading causes of deaths, again, of children under 5 in the country of Guatemala is due to diarrhea and due to vomiting. And that is due to, again, not having access to clean water.
Well, that tells us why it's so important for you guys that more people can be part of your organization. Sister Jen, what will be your invitation for our audience to be part of your groups?
Well, it would be wonderful for the people who are listening to get in touch with us and to come and experience the people of Latin America. If they can travel with us, that would be fine. If many people aren't able to travel anymore, but we're still able to go around and give presentations and share the stories and the experiences.
Can you give us an address, a website, a phone number where we can reach you?
We do have a website, globalpartnersrunningwaters.org, and a number where I can be reached is right at my office in Elm Grove. It's 262-787-1010.
Sister Jen, Bill, Ranger, thank you very much for being with us on Adelante.
Oh,
Thank you,
for having us.
Patricia.
Yeah, thank you.
Y al final de un programa más de Adelante, por favor déjenos saber sus comentarios en nuestro teléfono 297-7544 o escríbanos a nuestra dirección de correo electrónico en adelante@matc.edu y visítenos en nuestro sitio del internet en mptv.org y en Facebook. Sintonícenos en Milwaukee Public Television, canales 10.1 y 36.2 todos los martes a las 6:30 de la tarde y en canal 36.1 los miércoles a las 12:30 de la medianoche y los domingos a las 6 de la tarde. Y en MPTV VM 10.3 los viernes a las 6 y 6:30 de la tarde y los domingos a las 8 de la mañana. Soy Patricia Gomez, gracias por acompañarnos.